Alright. The last video I was doing got me thinking of an illustration I can make here. And you can let me know what y'all think here. So God, what he would represent here is man, a king, right? And then over here, we're going to have the angels. You know, the A's here represent angels. We're just going to put a bunch here. And this would represent, you can say, the sons of God. But there's also another relationship here where God is the husband. And this is his bride here, I'm just going to put harem. I'm not sure how to spell that, to be honest. So we're just going to put that. I don't know if there's supposed to be a U there or something, but it's his virgins here. Right? And he's given them everything. There's nothing that they're lacking, right? Now, there is a little order of angels that are a little bit, I don't know if to say above, but you have this group called the seraphim and the cherubim. And Satan was one of the covering cherubim who would be right at the throne of God, right? So out of all the what we're going to put here is they represent women. He would be looked up to by the rest of the women. But he gets this idea that he is equal to God. Right? We'll just put an L here. This cherubim is Lucifer. And instead of openly really bringing this out to everybody, he does it through a rumor. Right? He's gossiping. Right? Because he knows that the words are like seeds that he can plant in people's minds. Is he's basically putting his seed, his snake-like words, these little worms, into the ears of the rest of the angels, and they're being like parasites. So this whole thing here is one thing going on here. Rumors, gossiping, planting seeds of these snakes, these worms, these parasites into the ears of these angels over here. And he ends up getting a third of them. So how many do we got here? We got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That works out because then we can just take 4 would be a third. He takes a third of them with him in his rebellion over here. Right? Getting them to think, oh, we can be like God. We can be our own gods. Right? But his real trick, telling them, oh, they can be their own gods, is to make himself God. Right? He wants himself to be God, a Lucifer God, and he wants all the gods' virgins to be his. Right? So he wants the other angels, oh yeah, to think these other 4 ones here that he took, 1/3, to be his harem, lying to them about them being in this position. Right? And you may be asking why I'm going over this. Well, because the title of the video, right? This is the title I wanted to put here, is there's no hell like a woman. The pen don't want to work all of a sudden. Sorry about that. It's weird that it really messed up right here. Maybe it's this area of the tablet or something. But it won't let me put the W in there. It's supposed to be a W. Right? And in the Psalms, you can read about how the enemy has dug a pit for, like David, for example. And I think the message that we get through the Psalms, like reading about this pit, this snare, this trap set for him by the enemy, and how he wants the enemy to fall into their own trap, is a depiction of how, like, there's no hell like a woman scorned. I believe hell was Lucifer's idea, and he wanted to create it because he wanted to throw God in there. Because there's no hell like a woman scorned. And like I said, the angels here, they represent women, right? And since Lucifer went off here and rebelling against God, and he brought these angels with him, it's like they have cheated on God, right? We can put cheating here or infidelity, and they broke the covenant, right? So they're cut off, right? And they don't have their appeal anymore because they were given everything. They were with God before his presence. There's no reason for them to turn on God and to do this, but they cheated on him with one of their own his creations that are just like them. They did this, then they get cut off. Right? We'll put an X here. They're cut off and they're damned. In the hell that Lucifer wanted to ultimately throw God into, he's going to be thrown into. Right? The pit that he dug, he's going to fall into. Right? Because he thought he was all smart and wise and he doesn't need God. Right? Sounds like a lot of the women today. And that's the depiction I wanted to give here, is how this thing goes on with how we can see on this earth men and women, right? Where you got a bunch of women right here. I'm not going to redraw, so just drawing your attention back over here. And we have here men representing the king, the husband, and they're like, oh no, we're equal. So then they don't have to respect the king. They don't have to submit to the king because they're equal to the king, right? And it loses that attraction. And then they end up creating some kind of infidelity and covenant breaking because they don't really have the respect for their man, for any man. And they just use them as they will. And then they become no longer virgins and they lose their appeal to men, at least the men that they really want. The men they really want young virgins that they can start a family with, right? Who's going to be loyal to them. But they are now over here in their rebellion against man, right? And what happens when a woman is rejected by a man she wants? Does she just accept that? Nope. So what does the woman end up trying to do? The woman will end up lying to the other women about him and try to get them to also go over here, because then if all the women that the man wants over here that are the virgins are no longer virgins, they are like the woman who is scorned, who is rejected by the man, well then he either has to be alone or he has to then accept them all together, right? Because he has no other option. And you see that's what women end up doing. Like in school, you'll see a woman, a young lady is rejected by some guy, and he likes some other woman. She'll try to get that other girl to be like her, and then be like, oh, so now what, right? So now all she did was ruin that woman's life, right? And now that guy's just going to find somebody else, right? But you see, that's how the angels are. That's how Lucifer is. Lucifer is the first feminist, feminazi, rebelling against God, rebelling against man. We don't need God. We don't need man. And then God's like, well, I don't need you. And then it's like, oh, okay, what do I do now? Well, now I got to try to get all the my fellow women to join me, so that God has nobody, right? Nobody, because they can't just accept their fate and let it be. Be like, no, I'm going to destroy everything you love, even though there's no reason to do that. But there's no hell like a woman scorned. You know, this phrase doesn't come from nowhere. Because, yeah. So that's why you see why Lucifer went to Eve, not Adam. Right? Wanted to manipulate the one in subjection, just like Lucifer didn't go and try to deceive God, but he tried to deceive his fellow angels. He didn't go to try to deceive Adam, the man, the king, the husband. He went to deceive Eve. And now today he's doing the same thing to women in general, acting as though we don't need God, we don't need a man. We're equal. And then they can't really enjoy their life because they can't find a good man, because they can't respect a man and really want to be with a man that they are equal to or above. If a woman thinks she's equal to you, she doesn't respect you. If she thinks she's above you, she doesn't respect you. She has to see you as above her, or else she doesn't respect you. And if she doesn't respect you, she's gonna cheat. And she's gonna mistreat you. And then if you leave her because of that, and you're gonna find yourself a good woman over here, then the lies come about you to try to get them over here on their side. Right? You don't need a man. You don't need a man at all. Right? You don't need God. You can be your own man. You can be your own God. You're equal to them. Trying to get you to think that you're going to be in this position of God over here, but it's really getting you to be under them and you become their little harem. So hopefully I said this enough different ways if you understand what's going on there. But I thought this was interesting, something to think about, because what do we think about when we think of like an angel? We think of like pure innocence, right? But you see, Satan can come to you as an angel of light. If Satan came to you right now in his glory, you would be like amazed, right? And you'd be thinking if an angel of God came to you and gave you a message of peace and love. And in the presence, I felt this great joy and this great love. And it was just amazing, right? But it's all a lie. It's all a show, right? And the real agenda is just to use you and manipulate you. And how a lot of young men look at women? As innocent angels. A pure, innocent little angel. Right? Coming in beauty, and grace, and then she gives you some attention and all this and tells you some things, and you think it's just wonderful. But a lot of times these women, they know how you're dumb, and you look at them and they just lie and manipulate you to get what they want out of you. Whether it's some attention, whether it's money, whatever it is, just use you to get what they want. They don't really respect you or love you, right? But you feel good around them and having their attention and being able to talk to them and whatever. Just like as if an angel like Lucifer did the same thing and talked to you, right? So you see all the parallels, the connections here. So, with all that being said, dedicate yourself to God. So thanks for watching. Take care. And I'll see you in the next one.